When the time for Li Muan's resurrection arrived, Wang Lin once again stood in defiance of the heavenly Tao. In order to change Li Muan's fate, he sacrificed the Tiani Pearl, forcing the heavenly Tao messenger to retreat. Li Muan had died because her lifespan had run out, and Wang Lin, refusing to accept this natural end, declared war on heaven itself with nothing but his mortal body. This act provoked heaven's wrath. A giant red palm descended from the sky like a crushing mountain, seeking to erase his defiance. Wang Lin fused his ancient god clone into himself, and, relying on the power that surpassed the might of a two-star ancient god, fought against the heavens. To preserve Li Muan's existence, Wang Lin sealed her nascent soul into the body of a newly born innocent girl, Zhou Ru, letting her sleep within, while Zhou Ru's own life slowly intertwined with hers. This act carefully navigated the laws of heaven, temporarily satisfying the constraints of the heavenly Tao and forcing the heavenly messenger to retreat. But Wang Lin knew this peace was fragile. 19 years later, when Li Muan's nascent soul awakened, the heavenly messenger would descend once more. Wang Lin prepared tirelessly, knowing another battle was inevitable. But when that day came, it was not only Wang Lin who stood against heaven. Yulin, whose strength had soared, emerged and repelled the heavenly messenger with his own overwhelming power. Wang Lin, in the years that followed, cultivated in the soul-refining sect, raising his power to the late stage of spirit transformation and stepping into the realm of the three-star ancient god. His strength reached a level capable of challenging warriors of the infant transformation stage. With power regained, he sought retribution. Li Yunfeng of the Snowland country, who once opposed him, was slain without mercy. The ancestor of the Troll tribe, an infant transformation expert, also fell beneath Wang Lin's relentless assault. Yet fate's arrangements were not so easily escaped. After killing these foes, Wang Lin was teleported from Suzaku Star by the dying magic of the Troll ancestor. Guided by the star compass, he journeyed to the Moon Star, orbiting nearby. Time advanced relentlessly toward the moment of Li Muan's true resurrection. Beside him, Zhou Ru grew, a gentle, innocent smile always on her face. Wang Lin, who once held the fierce determination of a cultivator willing to defy heaven itself, now felt a different pain gnawing at his heart. The day Li Muan's nascent soul awakened would also be the day Zhou Ru's soul would vanish completely. This reality, cruel and merciless, offered Wang Lin a choice where neither path was free of blood and sorrow. If he extracted Li Muan's nascent soul prematurely, he could save Zhou Ru's life. But Li Muan would be condemned to death. If he let matters take their natural course, Li Muan would awaken, but Zhou Ru would die without even a chance to resist. Though Wang Lin had resolved long ago to save Li Muan at any cost, his heart, which had grown colder and harder through countless battles, still struggled against the idea of sacrificing Zhou Ru, the girl who had grown under his silent care. As the years slipped by, Zhou Ru blossomed into a graceful young woman. She understood her fate, even though no one spoke of it openly. Her once bright and lively spirit grew increasingly quiet, like a flame slowly guttering in the wind. She often stared at the distant sky, her heart filled with unspoken fear and longing, pouring her troubles into the ears of Xiaobai, her loyal companion. Zhou Ru yearned for a different bond with Wang Lin, something beyond the silent understanding of her being merely a vessel. She clung to small hopes, little gestures, combing Wang Lin's hair, asking about Li Muan, daring to inquire whether her early death could avert Li Muan's awakening. Yet Wang Lin, unable to speak the cruel truth, evaded her questions. His silence shattered Zhou Ru's fragile hope, leaving her in tears, abandoned emotionally by the only father figure she had known. Xiaobai's sudden disappearance plunged Zhou Ru into despair, and her body grew weak from heartbreak. She forced herself to let go of Xiaobai, believing that freedom was his right, not realizing he was fighting for her. When Xiaobai returned, wounded and exhausted, bearing the broken infant fruit, hope once again flickered in her heart. But even when Wang Lin explained the fruit's potential to weaken Li Muan's nascent soul and save her life, Zhou Ru, with heartbreaking determination, rejected it. Choosing loyalty to Wang Lin's dream over her own survival, she threw the fruit away, sacrificing herself silently. Her decision was met not with the embrace she longed for, but with Wang Lin's cold, retreating figure. In the years that followed, Zhou Ru grew increasingly silent. She spoke less and less, her soul weighed down by the knowledge of her approaching end. Li Muan's presence began to manifest more frequently in her dreams, whispering from within. Even Li Muan, whose nascent soul slept within her, began to resist awakening, unwilling to emerge at the cost of Zhou Ru's life. But Wang Lin, driven by his centuries-old promise, pressed forward. He accelerated the maturation of the nascent soul, strengthening it with his own spiritual power, even as guilt gnawed at his heart. He made unspoken promises that Zhou Ru's family would be honored, her memory revered, her sacrifice never forgotten. Yet in the face of cruel reality, these promises felt hollow. 4 more years slipped by. Zhou Ru's vitality ebbed, her body weakened, and eventually she fell into a long, death-like slumber. Beside her, Xiaobai kept vigil, his eyes reflecting endless sorrow. Wang Lin isolated himself underground, preparing both his cultivation and his ancient god body for the coming battle against heaven. The time came, the heavenly Tao reincarnation. Messenger returned, his majesty towering, red lightning flickering around his massive form. Wang Lin, undaunted, activated the scroll of the cycle of life and death, initiating the fiercest battle of his life. He merged with his ancient god body, resisting the power of reincarnation that sought to chain him. The reincarnation wheel roared into existence above the battlefield, a colossal manifestation of fate's cruelty. The earth shattered, the heavens trembled, but Wang Lin refused to yield. His blood stained the earth. His soul was battered but unbroken. Just when it seemed the heavenly messenger would seize Zhou Ru, and, with her, Li Muan's nascent soul, Wang Lin, driven by despair and fury, exploded with the final reserves of his will. He summoned an ancient god phantom, empowered by the scroll of life and death, an entity so vast that even heaven hesitated. In that moment of transcendence, Wang Lin glimpsed the true nature of the heavenly messenger. Not a faceless will of the Tao, but a form eerily similar to an ancient god, with 7 stars upon his brow, 3 of them dim. Doubt, long suppressed, surfaced. Could it be that the so-called heavenly Tao was not the impersonal law he believed, but a twisted remnant of ancient beings? As ancient god and messenger clashed, stars fell, mountains crumbled, and the very moon star shuddered on its axis. Through blood and madness, Wang Lin fought, and for a moment, victory seemed possible. Then a voice, tender and familiar, arose. Li Muan awakened within Zhou Ru. She had sensed the struggle, the unbearable cost about to be paid. In a moment of clarity and mercy, she chose to stop devouring Zhou Ru's soul. She allowed herself to be exposed to heaven's wrath, preferring to sacrifice herself rather than let Zhou Ru die. Moved beyond words, Wang Lin defied heaven once more. He summoned the Tiani Pearl, sealing Li Muan's nascent soul within it, shielding her from the wheel of reincarnation. The heavenly Tao messenger, confronted by this act, hesitated. Confusion flickered across his vast form before he silently withdrew, dissolving into the heavens once more. But the battle had left its scars. Wang Lin, holding Zhou Ru's fragile body, realized he had won nothing. He had preserved life, yet lost faith. He reintroduced Zhou Ru's soul into her body, preserving her life, but at the cost of his own sanity. Wandering the moon star, mad and broken, Wang Lin became a ghost of his former self. He muttered of heaven's cruelty, of fate's injustice, slaying any beast that crossed his path, drowning in grief and bitterness. Until one rainy night, alone atop the highest peak, Wang Lin's heart finally changed. In the falling rain, in the endless cycle of death and rebirth that surrounded him, he understood. Loss was not the end. It was merely the beginning of another journey. He realized that true strength lay not in defying the natural order, but in embracing it. His parents' souls, once bound to him by sorrow, departed freely, blessing his path anew. His obsession with Li Muan, once a chain around his heart, dissolved into a gentle memory. Wang Lin, shedding his past, stepped forward once again onto the endless road of cultivation. Alone, but no longer bound by the invisible chains of grief, facing the vast, unknown future without fear. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. See you in the next video.